It's good to see everybody this new year. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now in the hands of Miss Lisa Lambert.
This is a pre-meeting of the Mobile City Council, Tuesday, January 2nd. We have approval of minutes from December 19th.
Any issues? We good.
Appeals, we have requests for waiver of the noise ordinance on January 6th from 11 a.m. until 3 p.m. on Monroe Street. April 27th from 6:45 a.m. until 12 p.m. at Langen Park Pavilion.
Let's change this early morning. I'm certainly hoping that they don't have really loud amplified music at 6:45 a.m. We change that to about like 8 o'clock, 8:30.
This is the ministry.
You want to just hold this over to next week? You want to communicate with them because it's not till April. Yeah.
Right. No, I'm sorry. Wait, this is a walk, charity walk.
Still, people live close by. They don't need to have really loud amplified sound that early.
Yeah. Just talk.
Yeah. Can you just give me the phone number so I can...
Just lay off one week.
June the 8th from 7 a.m. until 4 p.m. This is in Langen Park. This is the ministry, yes.
Okay. Ms. Carey, any issues? No. Okay.
Public hearings today is the public hearing to consider modification of a previously approved plan unit development, 951 Downtown Boulevard and 3655 Marion Beacon Drive.
Anything, Mr. Davis?
Today is a public hearing to consider modification of a previously approved planning approval for property located at 951 Downtown Boulevard and 3655 Marion Beacon Drive. Public hearing to rezone property located at 1065 and 1067 Schillinger Road South from R1 to B3. Public hearing to rezone newly annexed areas in Orchard Estates and Cottage Hill Corridor from R1 to R3. In Kings Branch and the Cottage Hill Corridor from R1 to B1. Kings Branch and Cottage Hill Corridor from R1 to LB2. In the Cottage Hill Corridor from R1 to B2. In Kings Branch Orchard Estates and Cottage Hill Corridor to R1 and B3. Orchard Estates and the Cottage Hill Corridor from R1 to CW. Ordinance is held.
All right.
There's been a request.
There's been a request from Planning and Zoning to table the second to last of those. It's the public hearing on rezoning Kings Branch, Orchard Estates, and Cottage Hill Corridor from R1 to B3. There's an error in the materials. It will need to be re-advertised. One of the parcels, if I recall correctly, one of the parcels is supposed to be going to B2 and isn't, and they just want to table it and re-advertise and do it. But it's just, it's a single parcel out of the one, but they want to table and re-advertise.
Mr. President.
Yeah.
So could we modify that? I guess theoretically modify that, pull it out, and go ahead and accept everything else and just move forward with that and then just re-advertise that single parcel.
I don't believe so. If Margaret has something she wants to say to that, then.
Because I kind of where we're at right now is I got a couple folks that are waiting on business licenses, and I just don't want to hold up the whole kit and caboodle if we can pull that out.
It's only the R1 to B3 ordinance. All of the rest of them are correct. There is one parcel that was advertised that should not be. And since you're changing the advertisement, it has to be re-advertised.
Okay, and then what's our time frame on that, I guess?
4 weeks.
Okay.
Now, if the site has non-conforming status, they had a business license from the county or even from the city as operating in the police jurisdiction.
Within the last 3 years, though. that's the trouble that I'm having with one of mine is one of the folks that's seeking, conditional use for that whatever amount of time. Unfortunately, the last 3 years, a business operated there without a business license. And so I don't know if there's anything we can do to help with that.
If they were operating without a license, they weren't lawfully operating, so we can't recognize that
Right, but
in absence of zoning.
Yeah, the new business coming in though is seeking the business license, and so just kind of getting punished for the fact that somebody didn't do what they were supposed to do before. Okay, all right.
And that, I guess that will also mean that 64008 under ordinances being introduced will have to be tabled as well.
Is that which one is that, Mr. Linder? Is that to B2?
That's the R1 to B3.
Oh, yes, correct.
Can we go ahead and take that one today and table it?
So Mr. Leonard, we're tabling the R1 to
That
B3.
way they can go ahead and.
That's right, 64-008, and that's the second to last item, both in the public hearings today as well as the ordinances being introduced.
What Lisa had suggested is we can go ahead and waive the rules and table this one today, at least to give it a one. Yeah.
Mr. Reynolds?
So we're going to table this, but then it's going to be reintroduced at a later date. Am I understanding this correctly?
Yes.
Okay. But it could also just be modified from R1 to B2, like just amend it and then hold it over and beyond the.
No.
Whatever we vote on.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You could just amend this and then hold it over for 30 days. So, and then you re-advertise and it comes back up. You understand?
We can get the modified amendment for B3 to you by the 10:30 meeting so that you can go ahead and advertise and call.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So we'll
Sounds
table and then we can,
Yes.
yeah,
Okay. Thank you.
and then we'll just add a call. Mhm. Ordinance is held over 64062, rezone property located at 4305, 4315 Halls Mill Road from B3 and I1 to I1. 64063, rezoning property located at 4354 and 4364 Halls Mill Road from R1 and B3 to I1. Resolutions held over 081361, approve item-based bids and contracts for fuel. 081362, approved purchase order to Dennis Aluminum Products for aluminum signposts and extensions for traffic engineering. 081363, approved purchase order to Gauls LLC for rifle shields for MPD. 081364, approved purchase order to Strahan Services for tank repairs to Water Wagon. 081365, approved purchase order to UJ Chevrolet for repairs to 2021 Chevrolet Tahoe. 081366, approved purchase order to University of South Alabama for EMT certification class. 091368, transfer funds from general fund program and project management to capital improvements fund Mobile Greenway Initiative to fund change order for the 3 Mile Creek project. 1369, authorized change order number 2 with Mott McDonald for 3 Mile Creek. 211370, authorized contract with Robert J. Baggett for bulkhead replacement at Cooper Riverside Park. 211371, authorized contract with geotechnical engineering testing for Civic Center Park and facility inspections and construction materials testing services. 211372, authorized contract of ARCO for emergency generator, preventative maintenance and repairs for various city locations. 211373, authorized contract with Southern Actuarial Services for consulting, preparation, and review of actuarial report. 40-1374, authorized extension of closing deadline for 63 South Royal Street.
What's the actual report?
I'm not sure if this is, because I see it came from Leslie Ray, it's all, we're also studying just our insurance and the liability of the insurance.
Is it police and firefighter pension plan, actuarial assumptions of police and firefighter pension plan?
We do both, but the same company does both, police and fire, they do all Blue Cross Blue Shield.
60-1375 and 1376 are authorizing settlement agreement and release of claims. Ordinances being introduced, 64001 and 64002 are the modifications for the PUDs at 3655 Marion Beckham Drive and 951 Downtown Boulevard. 64003, 04, 05, 06, 07, 08, 09 are the rezonings for the newly annexed areas. Consent resolutions being introduced, 37001. Recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a restaurant retail liquor license to Tandoor Indian Cuisine on Airport Boulevard. 37002. Recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a retail beer table wine off-premises only license for Sefco on Schilling Road South. 60003 and 004 are determining an appropriation to the Mobile Area Black Chamber of Commerce and Africa Town Community Development Corporation serve for public purpose and approving payment. Resolutions being introduced, 07005, approve the issuance of multifamily housing revenue bonds in an aggregate principal not to exceed $351,815,000.
Could we get, go ahead, Mr. Carroll.
Who's issuing the bonds?
Let me see. It's a couple of apartment complexes. Not to look.
Jimmy, I don't know who's issuing the bonds.
It's in the supporting documents.
It's a
Capital Trust.
Capital Trust.
And the request came from,
We really need Jamie here or Ricardo.
is this city liability here? Is this a development?
this is just approving a bond.
So, okay.
It's a
This was submitted by Matt McDonald working with us on this. And the long story short, this was approved by the council previously. It took longer to get funding in place.
This was approved by the council previously. It took them longer than anticipated to get the funding in place, and so it's got to be reapproved, but there's no city liability or anything. It's just the bond issue for some District 6 housing complexes.
And others, that's the city.
Say it again. And others will.
And other, it's not just in Mobile.
Yeah.
It's not just in Mobile. This is across the state. I can't remember the exact cities. Montgomery, Huntsville, maybe Michael.
Yeah.
It's-
and
For our purposes, it's complex in District 6.
What type of development is
it's a multifamily.
it?
It's
What type?
Inverness Lakes
No, attainable market value? What?
market value. There's just a refinance. What amounts to refinance?
Yes, Mr. Gregory. Okay, okay.
08006, approved purchase order to Bell Electrical Supply for Generac towers, towers for MPD and the cruise terminal. 08007, approved purchase order to Donahue Chevrolet for Chevrolet Tahoes, $3,290,692.60. 08008, approved purchase order to eBuilder for annual renewal of project management software, $55,574.36. 08009, approved purchase order to Gulf States Distributors for rifle ammunition for MPD, $25,515. 08010, approved purchase order to Gwin Stationery and Engraving for printing and mailing of annual business license forms, $22,994.37. 0800011, Approve purchase order to Precision Delta for ammunition for MPD, $67,076. 08012, approve purchase order to Sand Some Equipment for vertical mast assembly for garbage truck, $24,376. 08013, approve purchase order to Stuns for annual renewal of Monday.com work and project management software for MIT, $69,768. 09014, transfer funds from capital project citywide environment testing to capital project stormwater management MS4 program, $20,000. 21015, authorized contract with John G. Walton Construction for Cypress Shores drainage improvements, $1,622,268. 21016, authorized contract with Gulf States Consultants and Administrators, Inc. for employee health benefits consulting services. 60, 017, 018, 019, and 020, authorize the settlement agreement and release of claims. Call for public hearings, 41021, call for public hearing to consider approval of a conditional use permit to allow a home-based daycare for property located at 1016 Belvedere Circle East, scheduled February 6th. 41022, call for public hearing to consider modification of a previously approved planning approval for property located at 3650, 3704, 3708, 3758 Spring Hill Avenue, scheduled February 6th. 41023, call for public hearing to consider modification of a previously approved plan unit development for property at 3650, 3704, 3708, 3758 Spring Hill Avenue, scheduled February 6th. And then we'll add the call for public hearing for the newly annexed area. Announcements.
Council,
Mr. President,
Mr. Penn.
I just need some, I had a couple questions. 1370. Do we have a time for the bulkhead replacement? How long that's gonna take? One year?
A little bit longer than that.
Okay. And then,
They said 18 months.
They should have done that into this calendar year. Now that's for this contract. There may be some additional site or park improvement stuff that will have to be on that timeframe.
and that's not a part of that project. With this contract, the parking improvement?
No,
Okay, all right.
this is just the bulkhead replacement along. the river
But
side.
that's all gonna be taking place in that year with the park.
The park, additional park modifications will probably extend beyond this calendar year, but not much into next year.
Okay. And then just to get some clarity with 07005, this was already approved with the prior council. We're just coming back because it was expired, the time frame. Mike?
That's my understanding, yes. It was approved. The financing took longer and had to go through a different company, and so it has to be reapproved.
Thank
And it was January 2022. My predecessor brought it here.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the council? Anyone from the administration? I'm sorry, Madam Clerk.
President Small, I will read into, for the record, I'll read into our report on the Rebuild Alabama Act for 2023.
Okay. All right. We'll see each other at 10:30.
So under UDC, they went on their floods. But all three of these floods have to come back and, I mean, would it benefit us to abolish a flood?